Boom, we did it. I thought we did it correctly on Sunday where I had the numbers right, but my guy Justin told me that I counted wrong. So show on Sunday would be technically 199 and then 200 would be on the Tuesday. But anyway, we don't need math teachers here. What's going on, everybody? Happy New Comic Book Day Eve. We all know what book to get tomorrow. It looks like Mandalorian and the finale of Miss Marvel. So instead of having a bunch of dudes being like, oh, it's stupid, we're going to have, oh, I can't believe it's finally done. Thank God. That's going to probably be the conversation. But anyways, let's get it going. Let's get it rocking. I am pleased to be joined by a day one. Well, day one, I guess. I don't know. He came before BC, stayed longer than Keys, still hanging. Let's bring him out. None other than Mr. Hyper.
What's up? Yeah, I mean, I would say I was your day one. Listen, aside from Keys and Face, I think I have one of the longer tenures on your show.
It's true. It's true. I agree with that statement. Yeah, absolutely. But
wait. Let's backtrack. You run your show, and you are promoting episode 200 as this Sunday, right?
No. This Sunday is my 100th.
Oh, okay.
Episode New Comic Book Day.
Okay.
200 should be on Tuesday. It should be 200.
Gotcha. Okay. I was a bit tripped up by that little intro that you did.
Yeah. But I am good at math. I swear. But yeah, I'm excited, man. 100 New Comic Book Days. That means over 2 years of doing that show. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully a few fun people join the show and we have a good time. But we'll have to wait and see because today's Tuesday. And I like to live in the present more than the future sometimes. And today is one of those times, man. Hype, I know you weren't on the show on Sunday, but out of the two things that, pretty much the focal point tomorrow, it'll be Mandalorian, number one. Obviously, like 6 first appearances coming out tomorrow. And then obviously the conclusion to Miss Marvel episode 6 and the series. Are you looking forward to one, to both? Do you care? What are your thoughts really quickly before we get it going?
Okay, so I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy. So, I mean, I think I'm a bit of a notch above you in terms of fandom. But yeah, you just pissed off a lot of people.
You wish.
But I still don't consider myself a Star Wars guy, even though I have seen the movie. So I would say by default I would sway more towards the finale for Miss Marvel. Nice. Even though I'm not completely caught up with the season, I'm a couple episodes behind. Just
Okay. Well, my next question was going to be: do you have a sleeper pick for who shows up in the show? Because I have 2 sleeper picks.
Mephisto?
Nope. My 2 sleeper picks are Wong and Shang-Chi, or one or the other.
I was close.
Yeah, those are it. I mean, Miss Marvel, or Spectrum are like the front runners to obviously show up because this is probably going to tie into whatever movie they do next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of the end credits is Wong coming in because the ties to the 10 rings and stuff.
The 10
like
rings,
that, so.
Yeah, I figured, yeah.
But yeah, all right. Well, hey, tomorrow is going to be an interesting day, man. I can't wait for the episode. It's going to be a little weird, right? Because after tomorrow, we don't really have anything until She-Hulk. I know Star Wars has a show coming. I just don't know when it starts. I know Justin, Nemesis Prime, my guy, he posted it. One of the biggest Star Wars fans out there. He had posted.
What's the title? What's the title of that show called?
Andor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know who that is, what it does, nothing. I just know it's 12 episodes. That's it.
12 episodes. Wow. Okay,
that's what he posted. So I like to believe him because he is. Oh, Justin's in here going. Did I pronounce it wrong? Did I pronounce it right? But anyway, let's get.
That's why I let newbie take the wheel on that one. So
How do you pronounce it?
Andor.
Okay, Andor. What did I say?
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, you didn't correct me, so that's a good sign.
Well, because I was unsure myself, so
I like how you flip-flop there. Like you weren't confident in yourself, and then you just assumed it was like, of course you got it wrong.
Yeah, fake it till you make it.
Man. All right, well, let's get it going. Let's get it rocking. First up, we got to say hello to some people. Dan Delatorre with the gold medal. How are you, sir? Gold and still gold. Yeah, I guess, but you've been camping out since 7:48. So, but yes, Dan, finally get your gold medal. It's been like 3 weeks, I think, since you got a gold medal. Mr. Ultra Miss Prime, we are not worthy with the silver medal. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man? Mr. Manny taking home the bronze. Manny, how are you, dude? Appreciate you stopping by. Mr. Razor Edge, aka TKO Collectibles. AOA, Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers is a cartel. Wow. I mean,
I live in Quebec. I'm not aware of this cartel, but I believe they could exist.
listen, I think I might switch over to maple syrup and chips as my whatnot hustle, because it seems to me like a lot of US guys.
Wait, hold on. There's going to be a live stream involved you with maple syrup?
Yeah, just selling maple syrup, Canadian chips, and chocolate bars.
That sounds almost like an OnlyFans stream rather than a whatnot stream.
Hey, there's some people out there selling that stuff, and they're making a killing. So you know what? Anyone looking for maple syrup? I got you. Mr. Bleeker Street, what's going on, man? Hey, newbie, what's shaking? Dan with the gold. Nice job. Yeah, Dan finally gets his gold. Comic Chic's in the house. Mr. Brandon, AOA again. Justin Trudeau, he wishes. He's like in Calgary right now. Michael Baker. See? Baker, not Barker. No medal. I'm just here tonight like a jag. Just a guy. Nice. Uncanny Swag's in here. Let's see. Brandon's in here. Nemesis Prime, Mr. Justin. Make sure you guys go check out the new episode of the Comic Con podcast, and make sure to check out Justin on his whatnot because he is killing it right now.
Yep.
And if anybody wants to send their porn to him, he will hold on to it for you.
Huh? Wait, hold on.
Oh, that's an inside joke.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because at the digital age that we live in,
I'm drinking water today, folks. I'm drinking water. There's no alcohol.
In the digital age that we live in, people still consume porn through physical media. I wasn't aware.
NFTs, man. NFTs. Empire's in the house. What's going on, man? How you doing? Peter, fellow Canadian, nowhere bound. So we got a few people in here. Dab's in here. Sell Canadian chocolate. Dab, what chocolate do Americans want? I will sell it on whatnot. I kid you not. I will. Chips, chocolate, maple syrup, whatever you guys want. I got you. I can't sell beer, obviously, but we're good. Chicago. Hello, newbie. One love from Chicago. What's going on, man? All right, let's get into it. Hype. We've got a fun show today. Today's show could be kind of split into two, right? It could be what happened to these comics or failed comics, I guess you could, and not failed, like maybe failed or delayed spec. I know I've done something that I've never done with anybody, and that's I've sent you the actual show. So you actually have all the books that we're going to be talking about. So that's why I asked. What do you think is more appropriate? Delayed.
I would say, failed? Okay, look, I wouldn't call those books failed spec per se. I would just say these are books that basically, for the most part, almost corrected themselves, because a lot of these books I find, because of COVID and all that, may have been overinflated in terms of their prices. But because from your list, they're not exactly new comic book day books either. They're books that have been around for a while.
Yeah, so, I'm especially excited to talk about that last book on the list.
I don't remember the order, so
no. Okay, well that's fun then, because the last book is going to be a fun one. All right, well let's get started, man. You ready, Hype?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
All right. And again, I will be selling chocolate bars and all that stuff on whatnot. So if you're hungry, I got you guys covered. All right. Then I guess it's more appropriate to say what happened to these comics, right? So these could technically be any comics in the last couple months, but realistically we're focusing on probably the last 12 months. Whether these just went up for whatever reason, like Hyper said, maybe they corrected themselves, maybe FOMO, not necessarily failed spec because there's still potential, but at the same time, a lot of us might have bought on FOMO, overpaid on FOMO, maybe were smart and didn't pay, and now you're just reaping the rewards because you're getting multiple copies. But nevertheless, we're going to start off with the first book, and the first book is ASM 365, first appearance of Anne, virus spec, but of course, she is in the Venom movies. Not sure how long she's going to be around because obviously Venom going to a different universe, right? Hit a high in the summer of 2020. Shout outs to Mr. Keys, because he had some virus spec that he did, and he put this book. He really connected the dots, and I was hooked, but it didn't pan out, obviously. But don't blame him. He read it. He gave points. He had proof. He did his homework. It just was the wrong guess. Still a great ASM cover by, I'm not shitting on this. I love this cover. I love how Venom is done. Current raw $5 to $50 Canadian. Current CGC 9.8 selling for just under $180 Canadian, and a CGC actually sold for $145 Canadian. That's all in, shipped, and taxes. So fall from where it was. Again, this book had some people thinking when virus was around. I know I said the last 12 months. This one might be the exception. Hype. Nevertheless, this is still a great ASM book to have, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, and you're right. This book, I remember taking off like more so than its previous value because of the whole virus speculation, and because Anne Wing does appear in that storyline in Donny Cates' previous Venom run. Now, obviously, that Anne Wing is from a different universe, like you mentioned. Like the current 616 Anne Wing is dead. So. But regardless, I still think like any ASM fan or even any Venom fan would still want this book in their collection. Now, obviously, they probably won't I do remember those books being 30, 40, or even $50 back in its height. Yep. I think right now, $5 is still, I mean, honestly, in a really mint condition, I think you could still find this book probably for $20 or so, because I have seen people sell it recently at certain LCSs. Now the thing is, I have a couple of copies of these, but I have the newsstand, and I can tell you, even though the 9.8s have dropped like to the prices that you're showing right now, those newsstands still command quite a bit. I actually sold a newsstand a couple of months ago for like $450. Damn. And I actually have another one with a potential buyer that's I asked for $400. I think he offered me $350. I might take it, even though like you still see on eBay, it's still selling for $500. So it seems like the newsstand 9.8 is where it's at. Especially in the 90s, you didn't have that much newsstand to be, like the ratio between newsstand and direct was disproportionate in the 90s. So
true.
But like I said, it's still a good book to have if you're an ASM fan or if you're a Venom fan. So just for the PC sake, I would still grab this book.
Yeah, just so I don't like devalue. Just so I don't devalue your purchase because maybe he's watching or maybe he will watch. We'll just switch on to the next book. I do want you to get, more money. But we're sticking with Spider-Man. Again, this is another one that Keys was really onto early on. And I was always telling him like, no, man, I don't really feel it. But then, it garnered a lot of, hype, and a lot of people fell for it. A lot of people are now going back to it because there are rumors of Moreland coming back. So video game villain possible on-screen debut. A few people are saying maybe in the Spider-Verse, but we're not sure yet. Obviously, summer of 2020, raws were $30 to $100 Canadian. Current raw price is $10 to $20, so a big correction. While a 9.8 selling price, all in, shipped and import, is $180 Canadian, which seems about right. I mean, a 9.8 usually is about $200, so not bad for an ASM villain. Not really into the villains unless they're the big ones. So what are your thoughts here, man?
Yeah, you have to be really careful about this book, especially if you're looking at it from the possibility of it being like a video game. Like, are you saying he's gonna be a video game villain, or he has been?
No, he was, right?
He was. Okay. Yeah, it's just that, I mean, I'll give you an example. Mr. Negative, he was the main villain, one of the main villains in the Spider-Man PS4 game, and his first appearance is, I think you can still find it for like $30, maybe $40. It's not that expensive. So, I mean, I have seen this book also selling for the price that you put it for, roughly around $30. I'm kind of surprised it actually hit 100, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think a book,
Tough 9.8 to find too, right? I mean, it is a white cover, newer ish. But yeah, I don't know, man. Me personally, I wouldn't spend 180 bucks on this character just because of where prices are right now. Especially like I would probably only buy this for a flip for a spec. So if he shows up, like I'm not going to be getting like anywhere close to where I would want, and that money to me personally is spent elsewhere. If you're a Moreland fan or you're a fan of this run, great. It's just not for me, and I probably wouldn't touch this one, just simply because the 200 is probably better off somewhere else for me.
Yeah, and the thing is, the last two books you just showed, the one before this and this one, both what they have in common is they're Amazing Spider-Man. The thing is, regardless of what the value is, you're always going to have people that are there's a certain franchises where people want to fill their runs, and and there's always going to be that contingent ASM fan base that, because I've sold books before, and one of the things I asked them is like, so what kind of characters are you looking for? Like sometimes like I don't have a list, right? And then they'll always say, do you have any ASM keys? Do you have any X-Men keys? Like those are the franchises that generally people look into. So regardless of spec or not, this is still a book that
Absolutely.
people are still looking for just to fill their run.
Moreland fans, 19 people.
Yeah.
Hey, that's still more than Moon Knight. So, or Hercules. So, just saying. Well, hype, not necessarily sticking with ASM, but this is probably the last Spider-Man related book we have. And this one kind of hit more so on the speculators. This one took a little bit to, kind of marinate with like, people watching YouTube. Like this one, you really had to dig a little deeper. But it's a cool cover nevertheless. But it is Venom 2099 #1, first appearance of Aaliyah Bell.
Yeah.
Another virus / codex spec. It's dead for me. Like I said, dig the cover. Someone said they were going to send me one as an AOK, just because I said I liked it. That was 2 years ago. I think the person just stopped talking to me or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why. He just messaged me. He's like, yo, man, I'm going to send you one. I got like 5. You deserve it. Blah, 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 blah. And then I never heard from this guy again. So it is what it is. Maybe it's still in the mail, but I don't know. He doesn't follow me or anything. But for me, Kate's always ends in terrible endings. Okay. It's just not working. The Hulk thing was a bust for me, especially after what Marvel said, what he said for Hulk 6 and stuff like that. Just anything that he touches, yeah. Is it good? Absolutely. Is he talented? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. As a story and reading it and catching on and going week by week or bi-weekly, every 3 weeks getting a new issue, it's just kind of like, nah. I'm disappointed time and time again. So I'm kind of off Donny Cates for a while. But nevertheless, a 9.8, the variants, because there is a variant for this. It's a dope cover, $70 Canadian. While this one is the cover A and 9.8 is just under $100, shipped, imported, all of that for $95 Canadian. This one though, hype, I could say it falls into that failed spec for sure.
Yeah, I'd put this more so as a failed spec as opposed to either two books that you showed previously. I mean, because it was a character that was created honestly like whenever this book came out, which was in 2020, I guess. Listen, I have this book not so much because I was specking on this book, but more so because I was a Venom fan and I was just collecting all the tie-ins, and this even though I wasn't collecting 2099, I just collected that particular issue just to kind of put in my collection.
Yeah.
I mean, a 9.8, I could see that. I mean, it is going to be a tough 9.8 to get with that black cover, especially with the Marvel printing, currently where, if you look at a cover, you'll get, damages on it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't really add much more to this book than what you said. It just, this is during COVID, a lot of things were rampant in terms of speculation and where people are trying to put their money into in terms of where characters would go. And I think just the way how the storylines have unraveled recently with Venom, I think a lot of the Venom like the newer Venom books have been a bit lukewarm. You don't really hear people talking about Venom as much
No.
as they used to, and I think that's probably because a lot of people got burnt out by but yeah, failed spec, honestly.
Let's see here. Sadly, we are in a comic book recession. Books aren't selling like they did 6 months ago, period. Shout
True.
out to Newbie though. Finally catching you live again. Appreciate it, man. How you doing? It's funny because I went to high school and there's a guy here that owns a booth at the flea market, and his name is Ryan Avakian. And I don't know if you guys are playing games on me, because when I asked you, you're like, no, that's a coincidence. But big shout outs to you. Yeah, I think we touched on this, I think like a week and a half ago too, where like the recession and all that. I think we need to stop saying it's a comic recession, and just the fact that like we need to look at economics in the world, right? We got to step back and look like across the world. It's just recession, period. People aren't buying certain things, and sadly, and no disrespect to anybody, because you never know what people are going through, but it's just like the housing market, right? When that went down, the only people that benefit are, the rich always get richer when the rest of us are doing bad, because they buy everything up, right? So you never know. Right now, I just think, and I think Hype knows this, but I know the guys do that, I talk to kind of. I think the only thing that's really selling right now is keys, 9/8, and whatever the hot book of the week is. And then it just, if you're flipping it, you basically just got like 2 days to do that until the next week. Other than that, I don't see a lot of other movement or prices, kind of going up. So it's interesting to see, but we'll see where some books are. So, I mean, you go to cons, you go to shows, and people are still selling like crazy numbers. Like,
Yeah. And the
I
thing
mean,
is,
more than eBay, which is insane to me, because then you'll show them your phone, be like, look, on eBay, it's like $200 less. And they just shake their head. They're like, I'm not interested. It's like, fuck. All
I
right.
feel there is a bit of a wide gap though between like the people that are hunting for the keys, like some of those big item keys are still going to be sellers. Maybe they might not have the same FMV that they had maybe a year ago, but they still move very well. If you go to a con floor, if you go to like Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. The issue is when you have like these medium spec books or like these minor keys. Those are the books that you're finding it's going to be harder and harder to move.
Yeah.
But like those tried and true books, you're never going to have an issue moving them.
Yeah.
Like I said, it just might depend on the prices that you're asking for now versus maybe a year ago.
Tim, Ozzy, all the guys that I go, Just Cruise, the guys that I go out with to hunt and stuff like that, and the guys that we've gone to shows with, even TKO, RP, we've gone to like, Dave Mason, we've gone to 5 to 7 shows in the last 2 years, and I can tell you right now, man, when me and Ozzy were selling at that show in March, the same books, the same dealers with the same price were at the shows 2 weeks ago at like the big con in Toronto and this and that. And it's just like, but do you and no disrespect, you are a salesman, 100%. It's your product. But when you have a price and you say you're willing to negotiate, if I show you my phone of what it's selling on eBay and your price is more, I'm not going to give you your price. I'm not even going to give you eBay. I'll probably go 150, maybe 180 less if it's a big book, right? Maybe 180 less than what eBay is. Because if not, it's like, well, I'd rather just do it with eBay then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it should never be that eBay trumps an actual seller. That's just me.
Yeah,
So.
and actually, I want to touch on 2 comments that I saw on the thing. First, Tim's comment. I feel dealers are way more likely to negotiate. To your point, Newbie, I know that you said that you kind of had a bit of a rough go, but in my case, when I went to the Montreal Comic Con this past Friday, I did find that they're a lot more receptive to negotiate, even though their prices were already at a fair, at a pretty good discount price. Because the thing is, I'm the kind of guy that I'll still shoot my shot. If I can still get a better deal, I'll still ask for it. The worst I can say is no. And yeah, this comment that I want to address, AOA, I'm a chump. I sell books at a profit, not at FMB. Listen, dude, I kind of have the same mindset also. Like sometimes you know what you're in it, what you're in it on a book for, right? And sometimes we always want to get the maximum value for whatever we sell, but you got to put it in perspective. Like let's say you got a $40 book and the value of it is like, let's say $500. If you paid $40 for it, would you still be upset if you got $300 for it? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. Like, even though you
I'm
may
just
not
mad
get
that
the
I can't
max
sell
stuff
my
in.
Avengers 48. Like nobody's buying Black Knight. People are always asking me, they're like, Noob, what's a good book to buy right now that's like really cheap? I'm gonna tell you right now, even though I can't sell mine, and that's a good thing because you know what? At the end of the day, I'll probably laugh, but Blade 1, Avengers 48, those are
Yeah.
two right there that you will literally make so much fucking money at the end if you're looking just for a flip. I kid you not. Because those books aren't selling now because nobody wants them, but when Blade and Black Knight actually show up, it's game over. Black Knight, all we need is Black Knight to show up in that suit. Game over. That's it.
Yeah, and you got to understand, not everyone has a couple of grants to drop on a Tomb of Dracula 10,
Yeah.
so they're gonna look for other better, like other books that they could afford that are Blade keys. So you know that's how you market those books, right?
Yeah. Well, let's market some other books. Next book. This is one of my personal spec books, actually, when I first started out. Okay, I think I might have lied to you guys because I don't even remember. This is clearly not from the last 12 months. This is probably from the last 24 months, but this one was an early spec book of mine, and I know it very well because I kind of was like, this could be the next Walking Dead at the time, and it was a good spec book. It was a good spec book at the time, but it was my first spec. Cover A plus variant was super hot. Cover A was selling for $80 to $150 Canadian. Variants were selling for $100 all day, and they were still on the shelves. That's how crazy it was. I brought this book to the Drunken Chat crew, and I did it live, and like they pulled up, I think a 9.8, and I think a 9.8 had gone for like, I think it was like $500, $600 maybe at the time. So it did kind of go crazy. Again, we do that compare game with like, oh, this is the next Walking Dead or this is the next Something's Killing Children, and we don't really, it sometimes doesn't work. In this case, it didn't. But nevertheless, this one did have its heyday. Are you keeping? I don't think that this is failed spec. I think down the road, maybe, right?
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. I know, like, because I don't know very much about AWA, but I know like the way that they're kind of positioned is they do their comic books, I believe, with the intent of having them optioned at some point. And you're kind of seeing that right now with one of their latest news about Hotel being optioned, and that's an AWA, book. This one was a bit of a head scratcher for me when I saw the prices initially, and I actually remember seeing those prices right around like March or April 2020, I think.
Yep.
And to be honest, I was trying to figure out why is this book at the price that it is, because I didn't hear any option news or anything, and then the only thing that I could think of is, okay, maybe they're thinking this is the next Walking Dead or something. But still, even for that, for a new publisher, you know what? That probably might be it, because Walking Dead was a fairly new book back in 2001, I believe, 2002. And this is like AWA Upshots, one of their first published series.
Yeah.
Maybe people are just hanging on to the fact that this could be, a flagship series. But honestly, I'm not too surprised that right now it's at $10, $15, because like I said, it's just I just felt like that initial price was a bit overinflated to begin with, when it was selling for like what those prices that you put, like 80 to 100. It's for a book that's really been unproven, and it just like the value just seemed artificial.
Yeah. If I find a cheap enough 9.8, maybe like $40, I'd buy it. That's just where I'm at. Because you never know with these options. It's not the worst thing I bought. So,
because I don't hear a lot of people saying like, "Oh, this is like a fantastic story" or anything like that. I never really heard that critique about this series. So it's I get it if this book kind of blew people away with its storytelling and all that, but that's usually not what I hear about this book.
Somehow, Radiant Black and Proctor Valley Road. Proctor Valley Road is something that I'm actually very heavy on myself. After, I don't remember which one came first, Shadecraft or that one, but
I believe Shadecraft came before Proctor.
Yeah,
Valley.
and I missed Shadecraft, so I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna fall for Proctor Valley, and I did. I got 3 copies now, and I think I have 3 at CGC. So, I mean, but they were all cheap, right? Like, I think I got one from Keys, actually. He gave me one, so yeah.
I know
think
Keys is big on that series.
Yeah, he's big on it, so
yeah.
We'll see. All right, next book on the list, and we're sticking with indies, and this is not by coincidence, but guys, Hype, I think you were around. You were still around the show. you know, I remember this one vividly. It was cold. I think there was Kevin and Renos, and they were like super big on this. This one was hard to find because a lot of people didn't order it, and then it got optioned like right after FOC or whatever. So people were going nuts. But this one, I was even told, noob, if you see like 20 copies, buy them all. And I was like, no, I've got one copy.
Wait, because you put the title for the cover for the Suburban Job. Is it? Are you talking about the original Dead End Kids?
Yeah, the original. Sorry, I didn't mean to put the Suburban Job.
Okay, yeah,
The original.
The original. Yeah. I do remember the original going for a bit, and yes, the option use definitely did help its value. But look, I think collectors are getting a bit smart to the whole option situation.
Yeah.
You know, before people were, giddy when you hear things getting optioned, but it seems like everything's been getting optioned lately. I'm exaggerating, but like it just feels like that, right? Because it seems like almost every 2-3 weeks we always hear about a new series getting optioned. I think it's just getting to the
8
point
billion
that,
genies, 8 billion genies.
yeah,
week,
and
right?
you know what?
Or last week, yeah.
I'm even surprised that book is going for what it's going for. I just feel that some people are getting a bit desensitized to this whole option thing. I think once a series is further down the line, when you go past option, let's say when you actually hear about a book getting an actual script or a director or a producer attached to it, I think that's usually when it kind of, those books will actually start to get a better value. But I feel like that whole option situation is just becoming people are getting a bit hip to it now. It's just
everything is option. The thing is, like some studios can option something and not touch it for like 25 years. It's just that they own the rights, right? Like that's pretty much what it is. So I don't know.
Like Swaggle made a point on one of another show that I was watching. He said that he has 2 screenplays that's option and it's been sitting there for 2 years.
Yeah.
So,
I'd sell 1 copy of 8 Billion Genies and buy 1 copy of everything on this list.
How much is that going for anyways, that 1 billion genie?
Ooh, I don't know. If you got that Super Mario like variant, that yellow one, that one's going for some pretty big bucks. I would assume that the cover A is probably like a $30 to $40 Canadian book. So yeah, somewhere around there. I haven't checked. I missed out on that one, so I was like, meh.
The Mario one I kind of get because I think that's only limited to 500 copies, and it's a dope cover.
Yeah. Do you know what else was a dope cover when it came out?
What?
Lazarus #1. Yes. So it was a good indie spec back in 2020. I actually remember hearing about this book back when Simple Man's and Mr. Jack Bolo would do their thing. This was on their back issue to be on the lookout for. It hasn't really lived up to the hype. It's optioned as well. So sticking with that, indie vibe of optioned. Raw copies selling anywhere between $10 and $15 Canadian, while a CGC 9.8 or 9.8s rather are selling between 120 and 160. They aren't selling though. Like they are not selling. I've been watching a few of these and it seems like the same sellers. It's just one of those postings that just keeps getting, refurnished, over and over and over again. And nobody's selling it, man. So I don't know. Is it a good time to buy now that it's low and you can maybe get it for $100 down for a long-term down the road option? Or is it just something that just failed the hype?
This is a book that actually I had in a lot that I bought, and it's funny you put the price. I end up selling it for $10. Yeah, and the thing is, I could be wrong, but I feel also the comic series itself, I think it kind of ended abruptly, so I don't think that kind of helps the situation. I think it didn't last very long in terms of comics, so how much source material are you going to get even if it is optioned? And yeah, this has been optioned for almost 2-3 years. And the thing is, because I had this book, I was trying to find more new news on it.
Yeah.
And the last news article was like around 2019, 2020. So that goes to tell you it's been so it's like, I'm kind of a bit current with this one because I had this in the collection. So yeah,
I've seen it. I've seen a lot of the other issues for this, and sometimes I have like Rocksteady in the back of my mind with like print runs, in later issues. So like if it ever does pop off, don't necessarily think, oh, I have to get the #1. Yes, the #1's more coveted, but like some of the later issues are too. So if you find them and you think that this is a good spec, I would probably recommend grabbing them all. We all know how all that Ironheart stuff did, and now people are kind of paying more attention to, finishing a run or the later issues of a run, even if it's weak, because the print runs are low. Like, I know people that are just pick up Moon Girl just for the fact that they know that they'll be able to flip it, because Moon Girl is very low print run. So
right. It's just that with indie titles in particular, you got to be really careful, because your first two slides, to contrast, you showed ASM books, and I mentioned you're always going to find ASM collectors. How many Lazarus collectors are you actually going to find? It's
I don't know. AOA would know. AOA, how many Lazarus fans are out there?
It's just that you're gonna have a tough time moving these books if your intent is to sell them. Now, if you like the story and you want to keep them in your collection, that's a different scenario. Yeah. But if your intent is to buy these number ones of these indie books to kind of flip them, I would say just pick carefully, because, like I said, sure, if that's the only thing you're in it for, you might be sorely disappointed with some of these titles.
I'm disappointed in most indies, I will say, but what I'm not disappointed in is, I'm definitely disappointed. Naomi #1. And there's a few people in the chat. There's a few people that'll watch this show later on the rewind, whatever the case may be, or down the road. But I know a lot of you. I'm staring right at the camera. I know a lot of you that jumped on this. And a lot of you said this was going to be the show. The show was terrible. The trailer was terrible. If you worked on the show, if you were an actor on the show, whatever, I apologize. No disrespect. But this was terrible. And the fact that this book went up, how much it went up, is disgusting to where it is now. Patience is the key. Height, 9.8s, selling for $400 Canadian. Currently, 9.8s are selling between $100 and $132. Current raw price, $20. That's it.
Wait, get the fuck out of here. You're telling me really a raw copy of Naomi 1 is only $20? Seriously?
That's it. This thing is tanked. No, this is a perfect buying situation for this character if you are a Naomi fan. If you're the one in the 25 people that like Naomi, this is it. This is the time to buy. Because hype, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't there there's 3 printings, right?
Yeah, there's a second printing, and I believe there is a third printing, which is like a black and white version of this cover.
Those are obviously more rare. This is the time to buy those ones over this one. This is the perfect buying opportunity, because if the character ever does show up, I can't see the character showing up again ever. You could have something there, but right now, I mean, unless you're a Naomi fan, unless you're a DC fan, whatever, I don't think that this is a smart. I don't know. I just wouldn't want this book, to be honest with you.
So this is a book where I'm gonna say that, usually on Marvel's side, people always look for the TV show or the movie to kind of spike this book. I feel the only saving grace for this book is if the stories get better in the comics. I don't really have much faith on this TV side of things. Yeah. Because like you said, the TV show barely made a blip on this book's radar. So I know at the time when this book came out, this book was well received because Brian Michael Bendis wasn't exactly doing very well on the DC side of things, and they felt that Naomi was one of those new characters that was a bright spot in DC at the time. So I would still say, look, if you dig the character and you dig her story, we know that the Volume 2 came out. I'm not sure if Volume 2 just wrapped up or not, but they do have future plans for this character, in the comics at least. So I'm not going to completely discount this book entirely, but I'm just going to say on the TV side of things, I think that's a bit of a bust. Honestly, I think it's the comics that'll probably save this, like the future stories and comics for this character.
Yeah, I just remember people going crazy for this, and it's just like, why? And I get it. Everybody wants to not miss out, right? But let's go on. Kenneth, how you doing? Steve, well, if you sold high or paid cover, then you still made money just offering moral support. It's true. All right, this one was a fan favorite of a lot of people, but again, our boy Donny Cates. So we got Thanos #13. First appearance of Cosmic Ghost Rider, spiked with cosmic, that everything was cosmic, cosmic this, cosmic that. And of course, Ghost Rider being a very popular character in our communities, right? A lot of us like Ghost Rider, or, pretend people like Ghost Rider. I don't know. 9.8 CGC currently selling for $400. A signature series sold for $508, while a 9.6 is currently selling for $190. I wouldn't even buy a 9.6 at $190. But this one, I'm very surprised at the fact that it's still hanging around that $400 range, Canadian hype, just simply because if this character were to ever show up, or any Ghost Rider, people would just kind of lean towards, oh, it's got to go cosmic next. And this one could see a spike, but the fact it's still at 400 kind of scares me, because if this character shows up like tomorrow, this is $1,000 book, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to do like a full transparency on this book, because
You own it.
Sorry?
You own it?
I own it, and I also, the collection I bought recently has this, like, it has a couple of these books, like, from the Kate's run, so that I will be selling in the future. So that's why I'm putting it out there, full transparency. It's a book that I'll be putting up. Now, having said that, I own this book myself before I came across my second copy. Here's the thing about this idea that Cosmic Ghost Rider will appear in the MCU. It's going to be a very tough sell, because it's not an entirely original character. You're talking about Frank Castle with the power of Ghost Rider, so it's going to be hard to introduce that. The only way I could see that character even being introduced in the MCU is in a what if. Like Frank Castle, I would assume, would first of all be introduced as the Punisher, not as Cosmic Ghost Rider. So that's why, from the media side of things, I don't see how it's gonna,
people would lose their shit if that's how you got him first.
Yeah, but honestly, I can't see how they're gonna introduce him, like I said, other than in a what if episode. Having said that, the story itself is actually pretty good, and I kind of made a joke about this, I think, with Face Off. Donny Cates seems to do really well with miniseries, or like with short runs, like with the Thanos run and with God Country. It's only when he gets into his ongoing stuff, like with Venom and currently with Hulk, where he kind of loses a bit of steam.
Right.
So the Thanos win storyline is still, people still enjoy it. I do have the trade paperback of that, and like I said, Cosmic Ghost Rider is one of those characters that I think people just like him just because he has like a cult following. But
does he though?
No, you'll be surprised, man. Like, people still buy this book. I'll tell you that.
I know people buy that
the lenticular
copy all the time. I see that copy all the time.
Yeah, it's that one is, I think, is a much more affordable copy, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think I've seen that copy as well. Yeah, I think it's just one of those characters, man, that, like I said, I don't see much of a future for him in the MCU, not in the foreseeable future. I think, if anything, it's just going to be in the comics, and that's it. But it's more of a, like, if you're a fan of Cosmic Ghost Rider, I guess you'll pick this book up, but I don't see how high of a ceiling this book can really have.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm not chasing this one at all. So
yeah.
All right. This is the one that I was really looking forward talking to. G.I. Joe number 32. And usually we don't really talk about G.I. Joe a lot, but I think we have to. There's always hype on G.I. Joe. Everybody tries to build it up. A lot of the older guys, right? Because that's what they grew up on. Are like, oh, G.I. Joe's. I know Vancouver Comic Junkie, big G.I. Joe fan. And he actually put me on this one. So there's a story about this one with me. I had bought this in a 9.8 for $160 Canadian. And I bought it on a Thursday. It arrived at my house the following Wednesday. So super quick. On that Wednesday, when it arrived at my house, they announced that she was going to have her own show on Amazon. This thing exploded to about $600-700, just like that afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being on Team Nerd Herd at the time, and I think I showed it off because I got it. Like that's the next day I was on their show, and it was like, show their books or whatever, and I showed that one off, and they were going nuts about it. I ended up selling it, I think that weekend I think I sold it for 580, 550, somewhere around there. I know I got 5+.
Okay.
Now you can buy 9/8 for $180. So I essentially could go and take that money that I made from this book and go and buy almost 3 or 4 of them. If I really wanted to and believed it, it's really low. But it is an Amazon show. It is optioned. It is going to be her own thing. The only thing is, how many times are we going to give G.I. Joe a pass? Like the movie that just came out in February was supposed to be the one that's like, all right, it's going to change
talking about the
everything.
Snake Eyes movie?
Yeah, like that one was going to change everything, and like, okay, we're back up, but it didn't. So like, how many more chances are we going to give G.I. Joe? That, like, I'm asking sincerely. I just haven't really
What are you, DC now?
No, it's just like I sincerely want you to tell me sincerely. No, but like, I just don't know, because like I haven't been able to get into this G.I. Joe stuff, and they've had great actors, big name actors, right? Channing Tatum, The Rock,
The Rock, yeah.
a lot of big names, and they still can't make the product good. So I'm just worried, or like interested to know, like, how many passes are we giving G.I. Joe, right? Because Snake Eyes was supposed to change the game for it. So,
well, look, I'm going to draw a parallel to this. The recent G.I. Joe movies, I'm going to almost put them in the same vein as the Michael Bay TMNT movies and some of those Transformer movies. All those things, what they have in common is they're all 80s cartoon properties that, there's going to be a fan base for that. So you're talking about how many times you're going to give G.I. Joe a pass. Here's the thing. G.I. Joe fans aren't going to go away. Same way like Transformers fans aren't going to go away, and TMNT fans. And I'll guarantee you, if they announce another G.I. Joe movie, people will still give it a chance because they figure, okay, this might be it. This might be the movie that might turn this ship around. It's just a case where, you have, guys our age that grew up watching the show, and now we're at an age where we have jobs and we can afford a lot of these books.
Yep.
So even though like you're showing like this book has dropped off in value, but G.I. Joe books will still sell. Like you'll always find G.I. Joe collectors, just like the same way you'll find TMNT and Transformers comic collectors. So I don't know if this book will go back to the same values as it did in its peak, like what you're showing, like $40 to $75. But to answer your question, I think I don't think this franchise is dead. Like I said, the fans will still give it a shot if there's look, I'm a big TMNT guy. Was I a fan of the Michael Bay movies? No, not really. But I'm still looking forward to the next TMNT movie that's coming out, I think, by Netflix or Nickelodeon. I forgot which company. It's just we like, fandom still will take over. So and we tend to have short-term memory if something promising comes along the corner when it comes to this stuff.
That's true. That's true for sure. Yeah, this one is interesting, man, because I thought to myself, I'm like, maybe I should like reinvest that money and just buy like 4 or 5 copies. But like, I'm just so hesitant to get on anything G.I. Joe right now. Like I almost pulled the trigger on a G.I. Joe collection. I almost pulled the trigger on number 1 and number 21, and I just passed. I was like, you know what? I'm okay.
Honestly, dude, I don't know what the price that they were asking, but for the right price, because the thing is, I'm not much of a G.I. Joe fan, like a connoisseur. So for me, it would be hard for me to kind of sell. Like I don't sell books that I don't really know.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't think you'll have a hard time finding a buyer for some of these properties, like G.I. Joe.
Like I said, man, I sold mine very quick.
Yeah,
like I was surprised, but like, yeah, in 2 week span, like, yeah, to make like 450, 475, whatever it was in profit, that was dope. So
you'd be surprised, dude. Like, because I've been on certain auctions and certain books that aren't even keys, like from. Like, because I look for TMNT keys, right? And then I'm trying to get these books, and the people are outbidding me. And I'm like thinking, this book has no significance, but it's just the fact that it's a TMNT book, people want it.
Speaking of TMNT, Rocksteady just finished the collection.
I saw that. He showed me. I was like, damn, that. That's something. He actually finished the original Kevin Eastman collection.
Yeah.
I think
he
he's
doesn't have
missing.
he doesn't have the first printing of number 1. I can't
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
what printing he has, but he's got the whole first series. So
He has a
yeah.
couple of rare late printing variants from the early issues
Yeah.
also. So yeah, good for him. That's I know he told me it took him like a few years to get that
Yeah.
completed.
So yeah, it's still out there. People are still buying collections, man. So yeah. Good for them.
Shit, I bought a collection like I bought my first collection 2 years, not 2 years, 2 weeks ago.
I was gonna say, I'm like, really? 2 years ago?
2 months ago. 2 weeks ago. Oh my gosh.
Well, hype, like all good things come to an end. Episode dope. I love talking comics with you, and I appreciate you hopping on. Our amigo BC had to take the day, so he'll be back on next week. But I want to appreciate you for hanging out and chatting, man. Let the people know Whatnot, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, MySpace, OnlyFans. Let the people know where they can find you, man.
Well, I think OnlyFans is your lane with the whole maple syrup and the chocolates that it's going to be on that stream. I think that's your bag now. Okay, so unfortunately, I was a seller on Whatnot, but I just got an email today that my selling privileges have been revoked because I live in Quebec, and because of the strict language laws, until the Whatnot app has a French translation to it, I can't sell on the app. So there's that. Other than that, I'm still on Instagram. I'm posting books here and there, and I'm with the Comic Kingpins, and we do our shows on Mondays at 7 p.m.
Eastern.
The previously on. Yep, and we're doing a bi-weekly show, Show Me Your Hauls, where we do like our haul video, and our next episode is actually this Thursday at 9:30.
Ooh, how convenient.
And we also have our FOC show as well.
How convenient. Well, that's a lot of content, but well worth it. So make sure you guys go check out the Comic Kingpins Monday, Thursday, every other Thursday, and Saturdays, right? Because Saturday at noon, sometimes at 1, but I would warn you, the Comic Kingpins are never on time. That's just, you got to do, if you're watching them, it's not going to be on time.
It's almost become, that's
like
our shtick. That's our shtick, yeah.
Right? If they're ever on time, I would be worried. That's just me. But big shout outs to them. Big shout outs to Hype for joining me. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys hanging out. Next episode, next time you see me, we'll be talking Ms. Marvel. We'll be talking Thor because I gave everybody a week, and 100th episode. So yeah, we'll see where we're at. We'll see if I make it, because I mean, I could have the show and nobody show up, and then it's really not a show, right? So
not if you bring that maple syrup and the chocolates.
But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't spoil the show tomorrow. Enjoy New Comic Book Day. That's pretty much it. Hype, any last words, man?
Yeah, man, listen, I don't know, if you can't sell on Whatnot, visit your local library.
Later.